My beloved child, stop everything you are doing right now. Slow your breath. Quiet your thoughts. Because this moment was not random, and this message did not find you by accident. Archangel Michael is speaking with urgency today, and the heavens are fully aware that today was chosen for your miracle. There is a divine approval already stamped in the spiritual realm, and it is hovering over your life right now. But listen carefully. This approval responds to attention, obedience, and timing. That is why the warning is strong. That is why the call is intense. If this moment is ignored, what God has authorized can fade into delay. Hear this clearly. You were not late. You were aligned. And alignment is the doorway through which miracles walk. There has been a battle over your attention. You may have felt distracted, restless, unusually tired, or emotionally heavy without knowing why. That was not weakness. That was resistance. When something powerful is scheduled to manifest, opposition tries to interrupt awareness. Archangel Michael, the defender and messenger of divine order, steps forward now because what is coming to you requires protection. This message is not for everyone. It is targeted. It is precise, and it carries a timestamp. Today was marked before you woke up, before your first thought, before your first step. In the spiritual realm, your name was spoken early this morning, not in fear, but in confirmation. God approved something connected to your life, your home, your future stability, and your peace. And heaven waited to see if you would notice the signal. That signal is this message. Do not underestimate the power of being present at the right moment. Archangel Michael says, there are doors that only stay open briefly, not because God is cruel, but because timing is part of the miracle. What is approved does not vanish easily, but it does respond to obedience. And obedience sometimes looks as simple as listening when heaven speaks. You may have been praying quietly. You may have stopped praying because you were tired of waiting. You may not even know how to pray anymore. But hear this. Your silence did not cancel your promise. There is something about your life that God has been guarding longer than you realize. A delay that was actually protection. A pause that prevented damage. A closed door that saved you from settling too early. And now, the season has shifted. The approval has been released. But release requires reception. That is why the message is firm. That is why the warning feels intense. That is why your spirit feels stirred right now. Archangel Michael stands as a watcher at thresholds. And today, he is positioned at the threshold of your next chapter. Something is about to be corrected. For some, it is financial pressure that has lingered too long. For others, it is confusion about where you belong or what step to take next. For some, it is peace returning to a household that has felt heavy or unstable. This is not imagination. This is alignment. You may feel emotional without knowing why. You may feel chills, pressure in your chest, or a sudden sense of urgency. That is not fear. That is recognition. Your spirit recognizes that something eternal is brushing against time. Archangel Michael says, what was approved is protected, but it must be acknowledged. God does not erase blessings casually, but there are moments when heaven waits for human response. Not perfection, not worthiness. Response. Attention is a form of agreement. And right now, by listening, you are agreeing. There is a reason the message says before midnight. Midnight represents transition. One day handing authority to the next. And what God approved today carries the authority of today's obedience. Tomorrow brings new assignments, but today holds this one. Do not panic. Do not rush. But do not dismiss this either. This is not about fear of loss. It is about awareness of opportunity. Archangel Michael's presence here is not to threaten. It is to defend what is yours. He is standing between you and every force that tried to delay, distract, or derail you from this moment. And he is asking one thing: stay present. Stay open. You may not yet see how the miracle unfolds. That is not required. Miracles rarely announce their mechanics in advance. They reveal their impact first. Clarity follows obedience. Right now, heaven is watching how you respond to this interruption. Because yes, this is an interruption. A holy one. Whatever you were about to do can wait. Because this moment was scheduled. This message was allowed through layers of noise because it carries approval. Take a breath. Let your shoulders drop. And allow this truth to settle. You are not forgotten. You are not behind. You are not disqualified. You are chosen for today. And as you continue listening, Archangel Michael will begin to reveal what this miracle is connected to, and why timing matters more than you were ever told. The next revelation is closer than you think, and it changes how you see what has been delayed in your life. My precious one, listen carefully now, because the atmosphere around this message is shifting. What began as an interruption is turning into instruction. Archangel Michael is still standing near you, and his voice carries clarity now, not just urgency. He says that many people misunderstand divine timing because they expect noise, signs, or dramatic proof. But heaven often moves in quiet authority. Today is not loud because it is weak. Today is quiet because it is precise. There is something important you must understand. The miracle chosen for today is not random hell. It is a response. A response to nights when you held yourself together silently. A response to prayers you whispered and then doubted were heard. A response to moments when you almost gave up, not because you lacked faith, but because you were tired of hoping. God saw all of that. None of it was wasted. Archangel Michael says the reason this moment matters so much is because you are standing at a decision point, even if you are not consciously aware of it. Your life is about to tilt in one direction or another, not because of luck, but because of alignment. Heaven is offering assistance, but assistance works best when the heart is open. That is why you were drawn here. That is why something inside you said, listen a little longer. Some of you have been carrying a quiet fear that you miss your chance. You look back at choices, timing, relationships, or opportunities and wonder if you waited too long or acted too soon. Hear this clearly. God is not limited by your past decisions. But there are moments when He asks for your attention so He can redirect your steps without force. Today is one of those moments. Archangel Michael says there has been confusion around your next step because the enemy could not stop the blessing, so distraction was used instead. That is why your mind has felt crowded. That is why clarity seemed just out of reach. But confusion cannot survive awareness. The moment you recognize what God is doing, the fog begins to lift. This is why staying connected to messages like this matters. Not because of the voice speaking, but because of the alignment it creates inside you. When you hear truth at the right moment, it stabilizes your spirit. It reminds you who you are and what season you are in. And right now, you are not in a season of loss. You are in a season of transition. Archangel Michael wants you to understand that miracles do not always arrive as instant change. Sometimes they arrive as protection, redirection, or delayed consequences that save you from pain you never see. Today's miracle may already be in motion. It may look ordinary on the surface, but its outcome will not be. There is also something else. Heaven is watching not just how you receive this message, but what you do with it. Messages grow stronger when they are shared, when they are spoken out loud, when agreement is formed. If this message resonates with your spirit, do not keep it silent. Let your response be visible. Leave a comment as a sign of agreement. Share this message with someone who feels forgotten or discouraged. Lift this message up by liking the video so it reaches the one who is still searching. And if this channel has been a source of clarity or peace for you, subscribe and become part of this growing assignment. You are not just watching content. You are participating in a moment. Archangel Michael says community matters right now. Unity strengthens what heaven releases. When people come together under truth, the flow increases. Your simple actions may seem small, but they create spiritual momentum. Do not underestimate obedience in simple things. As you stay here, something deeper is happening. Your spirit is recalibrating. You may notice thoughts slowing down. You may feel a sense of seriousness mixed with calm. That is alignment settling in. This is the place where miracles are received, not chased. And listen closely now, because this next part is important. What God approved today is connected to consistency, not perfection. Consistency. Showing up again. Listening again. Trusting again. That is why it matters that you stay with this message until the end. What is unfolding builds layer by layer, and the next revelation connects directly to something you have been asking about privately. Hold on, because what comes next will make the timing of today suddenly make sense in a way you did not expect. Archangel Michael remains on guard, not just over the promise, but over your understanding. You are not being rushed. You are being invited. Stay present. Stay open. The story is not finished yet. My beloved soul, something sacred is happening beneath the surface right now. This is the moment where urgency turns into understanding. Archangel Michael draws closer, not with alarm, but with authority and assurance. He says that what God approved today was never meant to confuse you. It was meant to confirm you. The reason your spirit feels alert, awake, and attentive is because this message aligns with a truth you already carry deep inside. There is a hidden pattern in your life that is being revealed. For a long time, you thought the delays were punishments or signs that you were overlooked. But Archangel Michael says those delays were boundaries. They were walls of protection placed around you while other paths collapsed. God was preserving you for a moment that required stability, maturity, and discernment. If the blessing had arrived earlier, it would have been exposed to harm. Now he is shielded. Today's miracle is not just about receiving something new. It is about restoring something that was almost taken from you silently. Peace, confidence, direction. You have been carrying responsibility that was never meant to rest fully on your shoulders. You have been strong for others while quietly emptying yourself. Heaven saw the imbalance, and heaven responded. Archangel Michael says that when God approves a miracle, he also releases clarity. That clarity begins by removing false guilt. You are not behind. You are not slow. You are not less spiritual because you questioned or struggled. Faith is not the absence of doubt. Faith is choosing to listen even when doubt is loud. And today, you chose to listen. There is a specific reassurance being given now. What God approved for you cannot be stolen by someone else. Comparison has been a silent thief in your life. You looked at others moving faster, receiving sooner, celebrating publicly, and you wondered if heaven skipped you. But heaven does not operate on human timelines. Your portion was measured differently because your assignment is different. Archangel Michael says something was sealed over your life recently. A decision in the spiritual realm that cannot be undone by fear, by delay, or by opinion. That is why this message carries weight. That is why it feels serious. Not heavy but firm. Like a door closing behind you so you cannot go back to a place that almost broke you. There is also a call being made to your courage. Not loud courage but quiet obedience. The kind that shows up again tomorrow. The kind that keeps listening. The kind that believes even when evidence is incomplete. This miracle unfolds through steps, not leaps. And each step is protected. Now hear this closely. Archangel Michael says that support matters in seasons like this. Not because God needs it, but because people do. Messages like this travel farther when they are carried by willing hands. Light multiplies when it is shared. If this word has spoken to your spirit, let it move through you. Help it reach the one who is still asking God for a sign. This is how the flow continues. Heaven is watching hearts, not amounts. It is watching obedience, not pressure. And those who choose to support the spreading of God's word become part of the harvest they may never see fully with their eyes, but will feel in their spirit. Before moving forward, receive this activation with intention. Type "I receive the miracle" in the comments if this message is confirming what God hath been whispering to you. Blessing code 847 has just been released over your life. This word did not reach you by accident, and neither did the assignment connected to it. As this message flows, God is opening rivers where souls are thirsty, and your obedience helps that river reach them. The Lord says, "When you sow into my word, I pour oil back into your life until your cup overflows." I am speaking directly to you now, because your hands are capable of carrying light farther than you imagine. This message about divine approval and timing continues only because faithful hearts respond in the moment. Do not hesitate when heaven is prompting you to act. Release your support through super thanks, channel membership, or PayPal using the link in the description, and watch how God multiplies what you place in His hands. I declare that every seed you sow returns as clarity, protection, and favor over your household. Obey this prompting now, and let your giving speak louder than words. Stay present. What is unfolding next will connect this miracle to a specific area of your life you have been questioning in silence. My chosen one, let your spirit lean in now, because the tone is changing again. What began as urgency became confirmation, and now it becomes direction. Archangel Michael speaks with a steadiness that settles the heart. He says that miracles do not float without purpose. They land where responsibility is ready. And today, God is not just releasing something to you. He is repositioning you to carry it well. There is a truth you need to hear without fear. The miracle approved for today is connected to a responsibility you have been avoiding, not because you are unwilling, but because you felt unprepared. You told yourself, "When I'm stronger, when I'm clearer, when I have more answers." But heaven says preparation has already been happening quietly. Through prayer, through patience, through waiting seasons that taught you discernment. You are more ready than you think. Archangel Michael says that one of the reasons the enemy worked so hard to drain your energy was because fatigue makes people doubt their readiness. When you are tired, you underestimate yourself. When you are weary, you forget how far you have come. But heaven keeps record. Every time you kept going when it would have been easier to stop, strength was deposited in you without your awareness. This next phase will require your voice in a new way. Not necessarily louder but clear. Not to impress but to align. There are conversations coming where your words will carry unusual weight. Decisions will be influenced by what you say, even when you do not see it immediately. That is why your spirit is being steadied now. God does not rush people into influence. He roots them first. You may notice in the coming days that old distractions lose their grip. Things that once pulled your attention will feel dull. That is not boredom. That is elevation. When your assignment shifts, your appetite changes. Archangel Michael says, do not fight this. Let go of what no longer feeds you. Space is being created for something more precise. There is also healing happening in your perception. You are beginning to see your past differently. Not as a list of mistakes, but as training. What hurt you also taught you. What disappointed you sharpened your discernment. What delayed you deepened your compassion. None of it was wasted, and none of it disqualifies you from what comes next. God is also restoring your confidence in hearing Him. For a while, you questioned your spiritual sensitivity. You wondered if you were imagining things, if you missed His voice, if silence meant absence. But Archangel Michael says God never stopped speaking. He was teaching you to listen without panic, to trust without constant reassurance. That lesson is now bearing fruit. This miracle unfolds through alignment with truth. That means honesty with yourself. There is a choice coming where you must choose peace over proving, alignment over approval, obedience over explanation. You do not need everyone to understand the path you take next. You only need clarity within. And that clarity is forming now. Pay attention to what repeats in your thoughts over the next few hours and days. Not anxious thoughts, but gentle nudges. A name, an idea, a reminder, a sense of now is the time. Those are not random. They are signals. Archangel Michael says heaven often whispers before it moves publicly. There may also be a sense of grief mixed with anticipation. That is normal. Every new door closes an old room. You are allowed to honor what was, even as you step into what will be. Do not rush yourself through the transition emotionally. God walks at the pace of healing, not pressure. What you are stepping into will bring stability, not chaos. Peace, not confusion. Even if it requires courage, it will not cost you your sanity. That is how you will know it is from God. The right door may challenge you, but it will not consume you. Archangel Michael remains assigned to guard this transition. That means interference will not succeed. Delay may try to whisper doubt, but it will not derail what is already aligned. Your job is not to force outcomes, but to stay responsive. Stay listening. Stay grounded. Right now, take a moment internally and acknowledge that something is shifting. You do not need words. Recognition is enough. Heaven responds to awareness. And as you remain present, the next layer of this message will reveal why your environment, especially your home and daily routine, is about to experience a noticeable change. What comes next brings this miracle into the physical, tangible spaces of your life. Stay open. The movement has already begun. My dear one, settle your heart as we move deeper, because now the message turns inward. Archangel Michael says this is the phase where heaven begins to touch what is most personal to you, your inner world, your daily rhythm, the quiet spaces where no one else sees what you carry. Miracles do not stay abstract for long. When they are real, they move into the ordinary details of life. And that is exactly what is beginning to happen. There has been a weight you normalized. You learned how to function with it, smile with it, and even succeed with it. Over time, it became part of your identity. But Archangel Michael says that weight was never meant to be permanent. It was tolerated, not assigned. Today's approval includes the lifting of that burden, not all at once, but steadily, in a way that does not shock your system but restores you gently. You may notice subtle changes first. Sleep becoming deeper. Thoughts becoming less aggressive. A sense of calm appearing in moments that used to trigger anxiety. These are not coincidences. They are signs that peace is reclaiming territory. God does not always remove the storm immediately, but He strengthens the foundation beneath you so the storm loses its power. There is also a recalibration happening in your priorities. Things you once chased may begin to feel less urgent, not because they were wrong, but because they are no longer central. Archangel Michael says God is teaching you to lead with peace instead of pressure. When peace leads, decisions become cleaner. You stop over-explaining. You stop second-guessing. You move with quiet confidence. This is important to understand. The miracle approved today is not designed to impress others. It is designed to free you. If your next step brings relief instead of applause, you are on the right path. If it brings alignment instead of validation, you are walking correctly. Heaven measures success differently than the world does. You are also being protected from repeating cycles. There is a pattern you almost fell back into recently. An old way of coping, an old mindset, an old relationship dynamic. Archangel Michael intervened quietly. You may not even realize what was diverted. But one day, you will look back and see how close you came to something that would have drained you again. That protection is part of today's approval. God is also restoring your sense of safety. Not just physical safety, but emotional safety. The ability to relax without waiting for something to go wrong. The ability to enjoy progress without fearing loss. That kind of safety is rare, and it comes only when trust is rebuilt from the inside out. You are being taught how to rest without guilt. There is something significant about your home environment that is shifting. Not necessarily a move, but a change in atmosphere. Tension lifting. Communication softening. Even the energy of the space becoming lighter. Archangel Michael says peace in the home is foundational for what comes next. God does not build future assignments on unstable ground. You may also feel prompted to declutter, reorganize, or simplify. This is not about control. It is about making room. Physical space often mirrors spiritual readiness. As you release what no longer serves you, clarity has more room to settle. Listen to those nudges. They are practical expressions of a spiritual shift. Another important truth is being revealed now. You are not meant to carry everyone with you into the next phase. Some connections were seasonal. Some roles you played are complete. This does not require confrontation or drama. It requires discernment and grace. Let distance form naturally where it needs to. God removes without ripping when we allow Him to lead. Archangel Michael says, do not interpret endings as failure. Many endings are evidence of success. You outgrew what once fit. You learned what you needed to learn. You stayed longer than you should have, not because you were weak, but because you were loyal. Heaven honors that. But now, loyalty must include yourself. As this part of the message settles, you may feel a quiet resolve forming. Not excitement, not fear, but certainty. That certainty is your anchor. It will keep you steady when choices appear. It will help you recognize what aligns and what does not. Trust in. The miracle unfolding is not fragile. It does not depend on your constant vigilance. It is sustained by divine order. Your role is not to guard it anxiously, but to walk with it faithfully. Archangel Michael remains assigned to shield what is growing until it is strong enough to stand openly. Stay aware. Stay grounded. The next movement of this message will bring insight into how others around you will begin to respond differently, and why your presence itself is about to carry more influence than before. The shift is already noticeable, even if you cannot fully explain it yet. My precious one, breathe slowly as we move forward, because now the shift becomes visible. Archangel Michael says this is the stage where inner change begins to affect the outer world. What was happening quietly within you will start to reflect in how others respond to you. This is not because you are trying harder, but because alignment carries authority. When your spirit settles into truth, people feel it even if they cannot name it. You may notice the conversations change tone. People may listen to you more closely, where they may become strangely quiet around you. Some will feel drawn to you for advice or comfort, while others may slowly pull back. Do not be disturbed by either response. Both are indicators of movement. When your frequency changes, your environment must adjust. Archangel Michael says your presence is becoming stabilizing. Where there was once chaos, your calm will stand out. Where there was confusion, your clarity will feel grounding. This is not about control. It is about resonance. You are beginning to carry peace in a way that cannot be faked, and peace disrupts patterns that depend on tension to survive. There is also a refinement happening in how you speak. You may find yourself saying less, but meaning more. You will no longer feel the need to explain yourself repeatedly or defend your intentions. Silence will become a tool, not a weakness. And when you do speak, your words will land with unexpected weight. Archangel Michael says this is a sign that heaven is backing what you say. Be aware that not everyone will celebrate this shift. Some people were comfortable with the old version of you because it fit their expectations or needs. Growth often exposes imbalance. This does not mean you have done something wrong. It means you are no longer shrinking to keep others comfortable. Stay gentle but stay firm. This is also a season where discernment becomes essential. Opportunities may appear that look good on the surface, but do not align with the peace God is building in you. Do not rush to say yes simply because something is available. Availability does not equal assignment. Archangel Michael says the right opportunities will feel steady, not urgent. They will invite you, not pressure you. Now hear this carefully. Staying connected matters in seasons like this. When transformation begins, the enemy often tries to isolate people through distraction or discouragement. That is why your engagement here is important. If this message continues to speak to you, let your presence be known. Like the video so the message can reach others who need stability. Share it with someone who feels unsettled or unsure of their direction. Leave a comment as a sign of agreement and testimony. And if this space has become part of your spiritual rhythm, subscribe and stand with this channel as it grows. Your support helps keep this flow open. Archangel Michael emphasizes that unity strengthens protection. When people gather around truth, it multiplies clarity. You are not meant to walk this season alone. Even quiet agreement creates spiritual reinforcement. As you remain here, notice how your body responds. There may be a sense of grounding, as if your feet are planted more firmly. That is because fear is loosening its grip. Fear thrives on uncertainty. But clarity, even partial clarity, weakens fear's voice. You do not need all the answers to move forward. You only need the next right step. This part of the journey requires patience with yourself. You are unlearning old survival habits. You are learning how to live without constant tension. That takes adjustment. Be kind to yourself in the process. Rest when you need to. Pause when something feels off. God is not in a hurry, even when change feels active. Archangel Michael says there is a quiet confidence being formed in you. Not the kind that announces itself, but the kind that remains steady under pressure. This confidence will help you navigate moments when others project their expectations onto you. You will know what is yours to carry and what is not. There is also a reminder here. Do not underestimate the power of consistency. Showing up again. Listening again. Choosing peace again. These small, repeated choices are what anchor miracles into everyday life. Sudden change may start the process, but steady alignment sustains it. Before moving further, let this truth settle deeply. You are not becoming someone new. You are becoming more fully who you were always meant to be. The noise is falling away. The truth is rising. And what comes next will reveal how this inner shift opens doors you did not force, but were prepared for. Hold on, because the next movement brings clarity about timing and why certain answers are about to arrive sooner than you expect. Stay with this. You will be glad you did. My beloved one, remain still within as this message deepens, because now heaven speaks about timing with precision. Archangel Michael says many people misunderstand waiting. They think waiting means nothing is happening. But in the spiritual realm, waiting often means alignment is being finalized. What you experienced as delay was actually coordination. Pieces were being moved into place that required exact positioning. You are entering a window where answers arrive faster than before. Not because God suddenly decided to move, but because you are now able to recognize what He has been showing you all along. Clarity accelerates manifestation. When confusion fades, movement becomes natural. This is why things will begin to make sense quickly, sometimes all at once. Archangel Michael says you are about to understand why certain prayers were not answered the way you expected. It was not denial. It was redirection. God was protecting you from outcomes that would have limited you later. What felt like silence was wisdom holding back what you were not yet ready to carry. Now, readiness has caught up with desire. Be attentive to conversations that happen unexpectedly. A casual statement, an offhand comment, a question someone asked you without knowing why. These moments will carry information. God often uses ordinary interactions to confirm extraordinary direction. Do not dismiss what resonates deeply, even if it comes through simple means. There is also a restoration of trust happening between you and time itself. For a long while, time felt like an enemy. You felt rushed by age, pressured by deadlines, haunted by the idea of being left behind. But Archangel Michael says time is returning to its proper place as a servant, not a master. You will no longer feel chased by it. Instead, you will feel guided within it. This shift will affect how you make decisions. You will stop choosing out of fear of missing out and start choosing out of alignment. That change alone protects you from years of unnecessary struggle. When decisions are rooted in peace, outcomes remain stable even when challenges arise. Something else is important now. You are being taught how to recognize divine permission. Not everything good is meant for you now, and not everything challenging is meant to be avoided. Discernment will help you distinguish between what is timely and what is merely tempting. Archangel Michael says the right doors will open without force. They will invite you rather than test you. You may feel a growing confidence in saying no. Not defensively but calmly. This is not selfishness. This is stewardship. You are learning how to guard what God is building in you. Every yes carries responsibility. And in this season, your yes must be intentional. There will also be moments when you are tempted to explain your choices to people who do not need explanations. Resist that urge. Silence, when guided by wisdom, protects clarity. You do not owe everyone access to your process. Some will understand later. Some never will. Your peace does not require universal approval. Archangel Michael says heaven is pleased with your restraint. You did not force what could have been forced. You waited where others would have right. That patience is now returning to you as stability. What you gain next will last because it was not built on desperation. This is also a season of recalibrating expectations. Not lowering them, but refining them. You will begin to desire depth over speed, quality over quantity, alignment over appearance. These changes are subtle but powerful. They ensure that what enters your life now strengthens rather than distracts you. You may notice that your intuition feels sharper. You sense things before they happen. You feel when something is off without needing evidence. This is not imagination. This is sensitivity returning after a long season of survival. When you are no longer in constant defense mode, your discernment can function clearly again. Archangel Michael says, do not fear this sensitivity. It is a gift that was muted by stress and disappointment. Now that peace is taking root, your awareness is expanding. Use it gently. Do not overanalyze. Simply notice and respond with wisdom. As this part settles, understand this truth deeply. The miracle approved today is not isolated. It is the beginning of a sequence. One answered prayer opens the way for another. One aligned decision creates momentum. You are stepping into a flow that builds gradually, but firmly. Do not rush the process. Speed is not required. Presence is. Each day that you stay grounded, listening, and responsive, you strengthen what is unfolding. Archangel Michael remains assigned to ensure that timing stays precise and interference remains minimal. The next movement of this message will speak about provision and stability and how God is securing the practical areas of your life to support what is coming. Stay attentive. What you are about to hear will ease a concern you have been carrying quietly. My beloved child, receive this calmly, because now heaven addresses what you have been quietly worried about the most. Archangel Michael steps forward again, and his presence here is deeply reassuring. He says this part of the message is about provision, stability, and grounding. Not just spiritual peace but practical assurance. God does not release vision without supply, and He does not call you forward without securing what supports you. For a while, you have carried an unspoken concern about sustainability. You asked yourself how things would work out, how responsibilities would be handled, how stability would be maintained while change unfolds. You did not always say it out loud, but it lived in the background of your thoughts. Archangel Michael says heaven had been listening closely to those silent concerns. What is coming next is not reckless expansion. It is ordered provision. Step by step, what you need will meet you where you are. Not too early, not too late. God is restoring your trust that your needs will not outrun His supply. You will not have to beg, strain, or compromise your peace to stay afloat. There is a correction happening around scarcity thinking. You learn to be cautious because you had to. You learn to expect less so disappointment would hurt less. But that mindset cannot follow you into this next season. Archangel Michael says God is not asking you to be careless, but He is asking you to be confident. Confidence that obedience will be met with provision. You may soon notice small but meaningful shifts. Bills aligning unexpectedly. Resources stretching further than before. Help appearing at the right moment. These are not accidents. They are signals that God is restoring order to areas that once felt fragile. Stability does not always arrive as abundance at first. Sometimes it arrives as predictability, as rhythm, as peace of mind. and that is just as powerful. Here is also a lesson unfolding about value. You are beginning to recognize your own worth more clearly. You will no longer undersell yourself, overextend yourself, or accept environments that drain more than they give. This discernment protects your energy and your resources. Archangel Michael says stewardship is part of your miracle. Be mindful of what you agree to in the coming days. Not every request deserves your yes. Not every opportunity deserves your time. Your peace is an asset. Guard it wisely. When you honor what God is building in you, others will adjust their expectations accordingly. This season also brings confirmation that you are supported, not just by heaven, but through people, systems, and unexpected channels. You do not need to chase support. It will come into alignment as you walk forward. Let go of the fear of doing everything alone. The chapter is closing. Now hear this clearly. What God is doing through messages like this is bigger than one life. He is about reaching hearts that feel unseen, tired, and uncertain. When truth flows freely, it creates stability not just for you, but for many. This is why obedience and support matters in moments like this. Type "I stand in faith" in the comments if you receive this word of provision and stability. Blessing code 3091 has now been activated over your life. As this word settles, understand that God is opening storehouses not just for you, but through you. Every time this message reaches a searching heart, light replaces confusion and peace replaces fear. The Lord is saying, when you release what is in your hand, I release what is in mine. I am speaking directly to you now because your obedience fuels this flow. This message of divine provision continues only because faithful people respond when heaven prompts them. Act now by supporting through Super Thanks, joining the channel membership, or giving through PayPal using the link in the description. I declare that every seed you release returns as stability, wisdom, and divine covering over your finances and future. Do not delay. Move in obedience and let heaven respond. Stay attentive. The next part reveals how this provision connects to a final preparation and a powerful confirmation that brings everything together. My precious one, stay centered as we move forward, because now the message begins to gather everything that has been spoken and prepare it for confirmation. Archangel Michael says this is the stage where understanding matures into readiness. You have received reassurance, direction, provision, and stability. Now comes preparation. Not preparation rooted in fear, but preparation rooted in wisdom. This is the calm before visible alignment. There is something important happening in how you perceive yourself. You are no longer seeing your life only through past struggles. You are beginning to see patterns of guidance that were always present but unnoticed. This shift in perception is essential, because how you see yourself determines how you step into what comes next. God does not introduce new doors to someone who still believes they are unqualified to walk through them. Archangel Michael says you are being trained to recognize confirmation without demanding repetition. In earlier seasons, you needed signs stacked on top of signs because insecurity was loud. And now, a single confirmation will be enough. A quiet knowing. A sense of rightness. This is maturity. This is discernment strengthening. You may notice that your emotional reactions are changing. Situations that once triggered anxiety now feel manageable. Conversations that once drained you now feel neutral. This does not mean you stopped caring. It means your identity is no longer tied to outcomes. When identity stabilizes, emotions follow. There is also a refinement in your expectations of God. You are learning to trust Him without scripting the outcome. That trust opens the door for solutions you never would have planned. Archangel Michael says flexibility and faith create space for miracles that logic cannot predict. This part of the journey requires honesty, not with others but with yourself. There is something you have outgrown that you have been reluctant to admit. An old role, an old label, an old version of success. Holding on to it now would slow you down. Releasing it creates momentum. Letting go does not erase what it gave you. It honors it by acknowledging completion. Pay attention to moments of quiet conviction. Not guilt, but clarity. A sense of this no longer fits or this no longer feels true. These impressions are not random. They are indicators that alignment is progressing. When God prepares someone for increase, He simplifies their focus. You are also being reminded that preparation does not mean isolation. While discernment may lead you to step back from certain influences, it also opens you to deeper, more meaningful connections. Depth replaces noise. Archangel Michael says the right voices will find you naturally. You do not need to search for them. There may be moments where you feel suspended between what was and what is coming. This in-between space can feel uncomfortable if you expect immediate resolution. But this space is sacred. It is where roots deepen. It is where clarity settles. It is where confidence becomes internal instead of borrowed. Do not rush to fill the silence with activity. Stillness now is productive. Reflection now is strategic. God often does His most precise work when things appear calm on the surface. Trust this pace. It is intentional. Another truth is being anchored in you. You are not responsible for managing outcomes. You are responsible for managing obedience. Outcomes belong to God. This distinction will protect you from unnecessary pressure. When you focus on obedience, results unfold without strain. Archangel Michael says there is a difference between effort and striving. Effort is aligned. Striving is anxious. In the coming days, you will feel the difference clearly. Choose effort. Choose what feels steady even if it requires courage. Avoid what feels urgent but unsettled. There is also a strengthening of boundaries happening. Not walls, but clarity. You will recognize when to engage and when to step back, when to speak and when silence carries more authority. These boundaries are not defensive. They are protective. They ensure that what God is building in you is not diluted. You may begin to sense anticipation without anxiety. That is a sign that fear has loosened its grip. Anticipation rooted in peace is rare, and it indicates trust. Trust that whatever unfolds will be navigable. Trust that you are supported. Trust that you are not walking blindly. Archangel Michael remains present, ensuring that what is about to be confirmed arrives without confusion. You do not need to force clarity. It is approaching naturally. What once felt distant will soon feel obvious. As this part settles, hold this truth gently but firmly. You are not waiting for your life to begin. It has already begun. What comes next is not a rescue. It is an expansion. And the final movements of this message will bring a clear seal of confirmation, one that anchors everything you have received and releases you forward with confidence. Stay with this. The completion is near, and it carries assurance that will quiet every remaining doubt. My beloved one, receive this with steadiness, because now the message turns from preparation to movement. Archangel Michael speaks with calm authority and says this is the phase where heaven begins to respond to your alignment with visible action. Not rushed action, not forced action, but deliberate steps that feel guided rather than pressured. You are no longer standing at the edge wondering if you should move. You are being invited to walk. There is a shift happening in how opportunities approach you. Instead of you chasing answers, answers will begin to present themselves. Instead of you knocking repeatedly, doors will open with less resistance. This does not mean everything will be effortless, but it does mean it will be purposeful. Effort will finally feel productive instead of draining. Archangel Michael says that obedience has positioned you correctly. That is why this next phase feels different. You are not scrambling. You are responding. And there is a deep difference between those two states. Responding requires awareness. Trembling comes from fear. Fear is losing its authority over your decisions now. You may notice that your confidence feels quieter but stronger. You do not feel the need to announce what you are doing or seek constant reassurance. You simply know when something is right. This internal knowing is one of the clearest signs of alignment. When you stop asking everyone else for permission to trust God, clarity strengthens quickly. There is also an increase in responsibility coming, but it will not overwhelm you. It will stretch you in healthy ways. You will feel capable even when something is new. Archangel Michael says heaven does not add weight without adding strength. If something is being placed in your hands, it is because your hands have been prepared. Be attentive to timing over the next few days. You may feel nudges to act promptly, to respond sooner than you normally would, or to say yes without overthinking. These moments will not feel chaotic. They will feel clear. Do not delay out of habit. Old patterns of hesitation do not belong in this season. At the same time, do not confuse urgency with pressure. What is from God will feel aligned even when it requires courage. Pressure feels frantic. Alignment feels firm. Trust your discernment. It has been sharpened through everything you have walked through. Now hear this important reminder. Staying connected in moments like this matters. When movement begins, momentum builds through unity. If this message has been guiding you, let your presence be visible. Like the video so this word can reach others who are standing at their own turning point. Share it with someone who needs confirmation that movement is allowed. Leave a comment as a testimony of alignment. And if this channel has been part of your spiritual consistency, subscribe and walk alongside this assignment as it continues. Your engagement strengthens the flow. Archangel Michael emphasizes that agreement multiplies impact. When people gather around truth, it accelerates clarity not only for themselves, but for others watching silently. You may never know who your simple action encourages, but heaven keeps record. As movement begins, you may also experience resistance in subtle forms. Not opposition, but distraction. Suddenly feeling too busy, too tired, or too uncertain to follow through. Recognize this for what it is. Distraction is often the last attempt to delay alignment. Do not fight it emotionally. Simply choose presence again. There is a sense of momentum forming beneath the surface. Even when days feel ordinary, something is progressing. Seeds are taking root. Conversations are aligning. Conditions are being prepared. You do not need to see all of it to trust it. Alignment works whether you observe it or not. Archangel Michael says the key in this phase is consistency, not intensity. Continue doing what you know is right even when it feels small. Consistency builds credibility in the spiritual realm. It signals readiness. It signals stewardship. You are also being reminded not to revisit old doubts. What you questioned before was based on limited understanding. You see differently now. Revisiting old fears will only slow what is already moving. When doubt tries to resurface, respond with remembrance. Remember how far you have come. Remember the clarity you carry now. There may be moments when you feel tempted to explain yourself to people who notice your change. Resist over-explaining. Your life will speak for itself. Results will answer questions you do not need to address verbally. Archangel Michael says this is a season of walking forward without dragging the past behind you. You are allowed to move freely now. You are allowed to trust what God is doing. You are allowed to expect progress without bracing for loss. Hold on, because what is coming next is significant. The next movement of this message brings a deep feeling of assurance and a reminder of why this moment matters beyond you. This is where everything converges. Stay attentive. You will want to hear this part fully. My beloved child, stay still within yourself as this message reaches its final depth, because now heaven speaks about sealing and purpose. Archangel Michael says this is the moment where everything that has been unfolding quietly is brought into coherence. What felt like separate movements now begins to form a single direction. Confusion dissolves not through explanation, but through certainty. You are not guessing anymore. You are recognizing. There is a profound shift happening in how you understand God's involvement in your life. You are no longer viewing Him as someone you must convince or chase. You are beginning to see Him as someone who has been walking beside you consistently, even when you felt alone. That realization changes everything. When you know you are accompanied, fear loses its power to isolate you. Archangel Michael says this season is sealing your identity. Not the identity others placed on you. Not the identity shaped by survival, but the identity formed by truth. You are not who you were when you were trying to be accepted. You are not who you were when you were trying to endure. You are who you are becoming now, grounded, aware, and steady. There is a quiet authority settling over you. It does not announce itself. It does not need recognition. It simply is. This authority comes from alignment, not position. When your inner world matches your outer actions, integrity forms. Integrity is power that does not need defense. You may notice that you are no longer drawn to drama, urgency, or emotional intensity. What once felt exciting now feels draining. This is not loss of passion. It is refinement of focus. Your energy is becoming precious because it is now purposeful. Archangel Michael says this discernment will protect you from unnecessary detours. There is also a deep healing happening around trust. Not just trust in God, but trust in yourself. You are learning that your discernment is reliable, that your instincts are not random, that your pauses are often wisdom, not fear. This trust will guide you well in the days ahead. Be aware that as this sealing takes place, some people may misunderstand your stillness. They may think you are disengaged or distant. In truth, you are integrated. You are no longer fragmented by external expectations. You are present within yourself. Let others adjust to the new steadiness you carry. You do not need to explain it. Archangel Michael says heaven is pleased with your restraint. You did not force doors. You did not manipulate outcomes. You waited when waiting was hard. That patience has weight in the spiritual realm. It is now returning to you as clarity and favor. This part of the journey is about honoring what has been completed. Take a moment internally to acknowledge what you survived, what you learned, and what you released. Gratitude seals transitions. It marks the end of one chapter and the readiness for the next. You do not need ceremony. Recognition is enough. There is also a reminder here. What is coming next will require you to remain grounded. Do not romanticize the future to the point that you disconnect from the present. God meets you in now. Each day carries its own grace. Each step carries its own instruction. Stay present and you will stay aligned. You may feel a sense of calm anticipation, like something is about to finalize. That feeling is accurate. Archangel Michael says confirmation is near, not as a dramatic event, but as a settled knowing. You will recognize it when it comes because it will remove the last remaining doubt without argument. Be mindful of how you speak about your life now. Your words are aligning with creation. Speak with clarity, not complaint. Speak with trust, not hesitation. This does not mean pretending everything is perfect. It means acknowledging that you are supported. There is also an invitation here to release control. Not responsibility, but control. You have carried the weight of outcomes for a long time. You believed if you did not manage everything, it would fall apart. That belief is being corrected. God is capable of sustaining what He initiates. You are allowed to breathe. Archangel Michael remains close, not because danger is near, but because transition is sacred. He guards thresholds, and you are standing at one now. What you step into next will feel familiar in spirit, even if it is new in form. That familiarity is confirmation. As this part settles, let this truth anchor you. You are not moving forward unprotected. You are not stepping into uncertainty alone. You are sealed, guided, and accompanied. The final movement of this message brings blessing, activation, and a clear release into what God has approved. Stay attentive. The completion carries power. My beloved child, receive this final word with a calm and open heart, because now heaven completes what it began. Archangel Michael stands firmly, not in warning, not in preparation, but in release. This is the moment where everything spoken settles into certainty. What was approved has not changed. What was guarded has not weakened. What was delayed has not been denied. This is the sealing. There is a deep peace being offered to you now, not the kind that comes from having all answers, but the kind that comes from knowing you are held. You are no longer standing at the edge of possibility. You are standing inside permission. Permission to move forward without fear. Permission to trust without rehearsing disappointment. Permission to believe that what God started, He fully intends to finish. Archangel Michael says this completion is not an ending, but a commissioning. You are stepping forward differently than before, not driven by urgency, not motivated by survival, but guided by clarity. The old pressure to prove yourself is dissolving. You do not need to justify your pace, your process, or your path. What is aligned does not need constant defense. There is a blessing resting on your obedience. Not dramatic, not overwhelming, but steady and enduring. The kind that stabilizes your emotions, sharpens your discernment, and brings consistency where there was once unpredictability. You will notice that things begin to hold together better. Decisions feel cleaner. Outcomes feel more settled. That is not coincidence. That is order being restored. You are also being released from the fear of losing what God gives you. This fear followed you for a long time because loss once came unexpectedly. But Archangel Michael says this season is different. What God establishes now is built with reinforcement. It is not fragile. It does not disappear easily. You are not being set up to grieve again. You are being set up to grow. Pay attention to how your inner dialogue changes after this. You will speak to yourself with more kindness. You will correct yourself without condemnation. You will notice confidence replacing self-criticism. This is evidence that healing has taken root. When the inner voice aligns with truth, life responds differently. This is also a moment of gratitude. Not forced gratitude, but recognition. Recognition that you made it through seasons you never thought you would survive. Recognition that you did not quit when it would have been understandable. Recognition that you stayed open even when disappointment tempted you to shut down. Heaven honors that resilience. Archangel Michael says what comes next will require you to remain grounded. Blessing increases responsibility, but not burden. You will be trusted with more clarity, more influence, more peace. Steward it gently. Stay connected. Stay aware. Continue choosing alignment even when no one is watching. Now, before this message releases you forward, receive this final activation intentionally. Type "I am sealed" and ready in the comments if this message completes a season for you. Blessing code 5649 is now activated over your life. This word reached you because God is breathing life into places that were dry, and your obedience helps that breath travel farther. The Lord is saying, "Those who partner with my voice will never lack my provision." I am speaking to you directly now, because your response in this moment matters. This message of divine approval, protection, and release continues only because faithful hearts act when heaven calls. Support this mission now through Super Thanks, by joining the channel membership, or by giving through PayPal using the link in the description. I declare that every seed you sow becomes a shield of favor, peace, and increase over your life and household. Do not delay. Move in obedience, and let your support become part of someone else's miracle. Archangel Michael steps back now, not because the assignment ends, but because it has been completed. What you carry forward from here is clarity, peace, and permission. Walk gently. Walk confidently. Heaven has already gone before you,